When we get to that point of the budget tonight, we're going to work on trying to cut that a little bit, more than a little bit. We're trying to cut that down pretty well. Corrections, if you look at corrections, $400,000 increase in the corrections is inmate boarding. And 375,000 of that increase is inmate medical. And that inmate medical includes a very expensive shot that any of the inmates who are on opioids get. And that's a $1,500 shot. The sheriff tells us that there's approximately 50% of the population that are incarcerated have an opioid type problem and require this shot. There is also a $247,000 increase in corrections personnel, which is driven by contractual agreements that the county has with the unions. Information technology appears to have increased by 648,000. 557,000 of that was new or previously paid through reserves. And in the past, the budget committee really didn't look at the reserves because they weren't really shared as part of the budget. Our focus was not on the reserves, but that's how they paid for that in the past. There was a $48,000 increase in telephone and internet, and $43,000 converting a part-time position to a full-time position. $386,000 in reserves is an increase because they didn't require or didn't request an increase in 2025. And so there was nothing there. The two pieces of the reserves are $236,000 for severance assistance and $150,000 for technology replacement. The sheriff's department is mostly personnel. So of the sheriff's increase, 337,000, 271,000 is personnel contractually obligated through the unions. 74,000 is additional capital outlay. Usually most of that is in their patrol vehicles. And there was a small reduction, a $10,000 reduction in vehicle fuel. And as we go through this process, what happens is we'll open it up for public comment. And after public comment, then the budget committee will take each of the departments, and I think we have, I don't know, 20 different departments or so. And we will vote on that budget and as a budget committee. Before we move on any further, I would like to have a moment of silence for Commissioner Bill Shorey, who passed away last December. So could I have a moment of silence, please? Okay, thank you very much. First order of business is to review the minutes.
Could you have the list circulated rather than simply being on the stand? Because it's rather hard to move around.
Clark, can you circulate the list, please?
Thank you.
So there was an addition to our minutes that we thought that. Did you have it?
If anybody out there missed it, once it comes back around, please raise your hand. It's hard to hear in the back too. It is very hard to hear.
All right, I'll try to talk a little louder. So the minutes of November 9th need to be amended slightly for a clarification. And with the other minutes we have are the 21st. So do I have a motion to
The minutes for November 8th.
November 8th?
Yeah.
Oh, November 8th and November 24th. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes as we have a suggested amendment in there?
Where's the suggested amendment?
It is
Huge.
page 3 of the November 8th minutes. The sentence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 lines down, starts with Jason Trundy, Jay Trundy. Can you have the words?
Sheriff, correct me if I say it wrong, but I believe it's supposed to be that the only reduction you could see not being detrimental was the line with $42,000, is that correct?
$42,000 from,
Under the amendment.
Okay, so that we correct, we'll correct those when I. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as corrected?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second. I may have to ask people to tell me who moved.
Okay, so Robin and Doug
Thank you.
seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Do we have anybody on? Because if we do, we have. Is Brandy on? No, so we're missing two members. But out of the members here, it was unanimous. To accept the minutes. All right. I mentioned that we would open up the public hearing. Has everybody who wanted to speak had a chance to sign up? No.
And do we know how many people are on Zoom that want to see?
No.
The Zoom policy for the county was that they had to be here if they wanted to participate in the discussion.
The mics up there were, because there's mics and there's a sound control area there, and you cannot hear back here, I'm
You
sorry.
just can't hear.
Our mics don't.
I know it's hard to hear and I'm sorry, but the microphones only work with the recording system for probate court. We moved up here today so that we would try to accommodate as many people as possible. So I guess we just all need to speak really loudly if we can. Or can we adjourn the meeting and get a larger space?
I think we'll continue. We'll try to do the best we can to be loud enough so people can hear us. And I would ask,
Up here too.
there's more room up here too.
Yeah.
So,
It's about 4 seats, I think, up here.
Like 4 seats inside.
You have to step through the gate, but then you can sit and you're in.
We're inside.
so is that the second page of the speaker?
And there are a total of 5 pages. I wasn't sure how far.
Or on the second page.
Second page. If I could have the first page, what I'll do while you're circulating that is we'll call the speakers.
There was a comment from the audience that if you stood up, it might be easier to hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron Reed. Andrew Reed.
Yeah, I was just gonna speak if, when we come to the stormwater conservation district, if I had to. Speak on that, otherwise I do not have to speak, thank you.
Roger Chadwick.
Oh. I just got a couple questions here for the community, if your budget, complies to the limitation on county assessment law, well, Title 30A, subsection 706A, which limits the increase according to a formula under increase in valuation and increase in wages. It has calculated increase. I don't know if you guys have taken any consideration of that at all or not.
We have not. Have any of the commissioners?
Well, that's true.
One big,
No, we have not, but we'll take it under consideration.
well, one way to verify that, we have to have an audit report. Do I have an audit report I can look at to verify that?
An audit report from the auditors?
Yeah.
No.
The expense audit, when was the last one we had done?
The last audit was completed for 2021.
How can we calculate a budget? We don't know what's been spent in the last 4 years.
Wow.
You can look at the expense budget. There are things that we don't know.
I don't know. I mean, we appropriate in certain ways. I mean, at a municipal level, when I'm at a municipal level, I can't transfer money from one department to another to pay. I don't know what's going on here. I have no, I'd like to see an audit report from a professional auditor and see the way the money's going, where it's coming. We can base on what we got, but in the meantime, if you guys are exceeding this limit, there is a statute here that we can petition this and require a public vote referendum to approve this budget. Yes. It won't be decided by 10 of you people here tonight.
Okay.
7.
Seven out of 9.
So there's no, but getting back to the audit, there is no audit.
There is no audit.
Well,
I mean, the last,
It's not the last time.
yeah, so. Betty, can you explain why the audit is not there?
Yeah, so can you hear me?
no,
No,
not at all.
I'll talk louder. So the FY 2021 audit for the calendar year 21 has been posted on our website and has been reported to the state auditor, and it's on their website. FY 22, which is calendar year 22, is in the auditor's hands. We're supposed to receive it by the end of December. And then they'll move on to FY 23. So we've been working with the auditors for the past 12 months, trying to get these accelerated. And that's the timeline right now. So if you go to the state auditor's website, our FY 21 audit is there as required by the state auditor, along with our budget, and they're posted on the website.
Well, kind of according to this statute, 706A, you're required to assess the previous year in an audit so that you are compliant. And if you're running an audit 3 or 4 years in the rear, then we don't even know where we're at with this.
That's correct. We have that as an issue.
But how can you come up with a number if you don't have facts to go by? How can you address an audit if you don't know where you just, not an audit, a budget, if you don't know where your discrepancies are? If you don't know where the money's going, how can you make cuts? How can you be responsible to taxpayers?
How can you increase your budget by $4?
There's a
One at
limit
a
here.
time.
There's a limit in this statute. There's a limit there. It has to go by valuation increase and wage increase times that, and that's all you're allowed to go, and except in dire emergency. Fire, terrorism, any of that crap. It's not spelled right in here. It's not wage increases. It's not benefit increases. It's not budget shortfall. None of that complies to the statute to let you increase this.
Sure. Robin?
So I just want to point out for everybody in this room that these audits are not way backlogged because of any problem anybody here has had. And any of you that are on your town select boards or your school committees, there is a shortage of auditors in this state. Yes, we have this statute, but we also have a dysfunctional system where nobody's audits are up to date. And
Beg your pardon, the one in my town is right up to date. We just.
well,
did the audit.
I wish we had your auditors, because
Well,
I know in Lincolnville we're
we have
stuck.
done an audit every year for the past 35 years.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying, I know in my town, we're several years behind. I know the county is several years behind. They can't even get people. They've tried to change auditors and nobody wants the business. So they're doing it the best that they can. I personally think the budgets are very high because they've been trying to be very careful because they know they have unaudited numbers. So. No, okay, I guess I didn't say that correctly.
No.
But when you're budgeting your expenses, you try to be conservative about what you think you're going to have to pay. And rather than under budgeting, they've tended to be over budgeted. I am not defending that. I'm just explaining that from what I see, when I take the budgets and I compare actual numbers, unaudited actual numbers from 2023, 2024, so far this year, to the budgets, the actual numbers are lower than what's been budgeted. Because I think they're very afraid that they're gonna overexpend. That being said, I think that's part of why we're seeing such high budgets. I'm happy to cut some of these numbers, very happy to cut it. But, and to your point, we have looked at that and we didn't have a way of trying to calculate to see where we are with this because we don't have the audits.
Well, it's just my appearance, and I'm sorry, I'm running out of time here, but my appearance is that we're just writing checks, paying bills, and we don't know where we're taking the money from.
Yeah, we don't have any more money. Bob, I apologize, I forgot to start the clock, so we thought we are, I'll do it for next time, sorry.
I mean, we're given a bad situation to start with. The only thing we can do is take a look at how we spent our money in prior years and compare it to what we expect
No.
we're gonna spend.
So ready for the situation. Are we just gonna kick the can down the road another 100 feet, or are we gonna? address this?
The county's revenue is tax. Tax of municipality,
Municipal revenue, same thing.
yeah. So that's where the revenue comes from the
Well,
county.
we
There's
got-
some small things.
We're operating on fictitious numbers here. We
So what
don't,
do you suggest? What would be your suggestion?
we need to get an audit so we know where we're going.
Amen.
And pass nobody.
I mean, we can't even attempt to pass any kind of legitimate budget until we have an audit, so we know where the stuff is going.
Thank you. And Canning.
I'm Ann Frenning. I live in Northport. But I'm speaking at the request of Melissa Burns from the Islesboro Select Board. She asked me to express her frustration at the timing of the meeting and her inability to speak via Zoom. Given the logistics of travel to and from the island and the timing of today's meeting, all of Islesboro is essentially denied the opportunity to speak this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia Huff. Alex Huff.
No, I misunderstood the paper. I thought it was, I put my name down to ask questions or get some kind of guidance on whatever the issue may be down the road.
Okay. Antonio Avely.
Yeah. I'd like to know about the 400,000 for the prison that's being spent. You said it was a shot that the inmates had to take, is that correct? Did I hear that correct?
Yeah.
The sheriff's department negotiated with another county to move our prisoners to to have our inmates go to that county
Okay,
jail, because we don't have a jail in our town.
yeah,
We have a holding facility, a 72-hour holding facility and a reentry center, but we don't have a jail. So in that jail, their process is to give a shot to people who are on opioids,
okay,
which lasts for about 28 days. And it helps them, I guess it calms them down or whatever. So that shot is a very expensive shot. The sheriff tells me that about 50% of the people in that are incarcerated require that shot. So he calculated that amount.
the shot's about $1,500.
Cheryl? Over 1,500.
And is it mandated?
Is it mandated?
It is, it's statutorily required to provide medication assisted treatment.
And so that's probably, let's rough it up, maybe 200, 250 people. We have that many coming through the jail.
Sheriff?
So we are statutorily required to provide medication assisted treatment to anybody that's incarcerated. So we are currently moving into a contract with Somerset County. Somerset County's entire medication assisted treatment program is Sublocade, which is a shot that lasts for 28 days and costs roughly $1,600 for that shot. So that's where that money comes from. It is required for individuals that are incarcerated. So we do about 800 bookings a year. So if somebody comes into the jail, they're booked, they're processed at the 72-hour hold, and they're released, we're not giving them that shot. We're only giving it to individuals that are incarcerated for extended periods of time, that go to the doctors. It's all done by the medical providers. They have to be screened. They have to show that they are in fact engaged in medication assisted treatment. And then it's part of the medical screening process where it's done.
Then my other question is, we hired somebody for the finance office. Now we're hiring 2 more people. Is the county growing population more, or what's the reason behind it? Apparently, hearing from Mr. Chadwick here, your books are not up to date. And you're just guessing numbers. I think you guys really should look into a forensic audit, since it's been this long.
Betty?
So we have one person in the finance officer, the finance director that works full-time.
Yeah.
She actually works more than full-time.
Can't hear you.
Beg your pardon?
Not loud enough.
Speak up.
So we have one full-time person, the finance director in the finance office. She works full-time, but the capacity of the work that she needs to be required to do typically takes her 50 to 55 hours a week or more.
Right.
And it includes her also for taking time off. We are adding one staff accountant at full-time to help her out, and it was recommended by the auditor.
And an office person to answer phones, it looked like you were putting on 2 people, you were putting one.
So the other person, the administrative assistant that's in that office that will also answer to help out with HR finance is we've increased that from 24 hours to 35 hours per week proposed in the budget. So it was an increase of basically about 9 hours.
Thank you. Gene Randall?
No comments?
Roxanne Whitcomb?
Brooke, some of what he asked about the finance office and the different positions was answered to some degree, and I'm assuming even though we've been budgeting for an audit, the increase of 8,100 to 30,000 is because you're needing to play catch up, and even though we've been paying in every year for an audit that hasn't been conducted, now we're gonna pay an extra $30,000 to catch up. I'm not sure what that big increase is on the audit. And I work in municipal finance, and my books are up to date and audited, and we pay about 8,500 for our auditor. So, I'm just just gonna throw that out there. And my other thing is the employee benefits, if they're going through the Maine Municipal Health Trust, the health benefits this year went up 9%, the dental went up 5%, and the vision actually decreased. So I'm not sure why the benefits this year went up 125% overall, and I'd like to hear that when you get to that point.
Again,
So-
has gone along in there.
Commissioner Kelly's gonna respond, cause he's been involved in that.
So we will explain it.
So dental is, we have benefits through Delta Dental. That premiums increased 6%, which is minimal. I consider that minimal.
The Delta through Maine Health Trust usually, yes.
Correct. The Waldo County is the only county out of 16 counties that's self-insured for medical benefits.
Yeah.
And we've been self-insured since 2007. In 2007, it made sense. In 2025, it does not make sense. And so,
Being into participating with the health trust like everyone else.
so we actually changed our medical insurance broker and benefits broker to Cross Insurance. We immediately saved $80,250 going forward, effective October 1st. And we went to bid with 7 commercial insurance carriers. They all declined to bid. And so what we did is we're gonna stay on for this fiscal calendar year coming up. Because, insurance companies, when they do take a look at your past history, they look back 24 months. The actuarials decide that we're too risky for them. We do have a stop loss.
So you're saying that the Maine Municipal Health Trust will not insure you?
We didn't go to them. We went to 7 commercial carriers within the state of Maine. Because we're trying to figure out how the best way to control and manage our medical benefits. So now, the other thing that we're doing is that, we've decreased the PEPM per month, which is the per employee per month premium. That's decreased, from $67 down to $40. I've talked to them about getting it down to $26 to $28 per month PEPM. So we're working on that. Our reinsurance went up $100,000. So that's one of the major reasons that the costs have increased. And lastly, utilization. Utilization is high.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy Place.
I'm the first selectman from the town of Morrill, and I was just going down through this list, and I understand the audit question. We get audited every year. They're always running late, but we do have a current audit every year. So that really needs to be looked into, because especially like the lady said in the back, this 270% increases. I don't know. I don't know what you do. I know probably the counties are the only ones way behind on audits, but really gotta get a handle on that. But my thing is, because this 55% is so high, and I know everyone there is a select board member, we know it's really high. You need to look at all those line items that are over 25%, say, and see if we can really peel those back, if you get a handle on how you can get this down to less than 55. We can't go that much all in one year. It's impossible. I mean, sure, it's possible. Everyone that's digging our pockets deep. We got more choice but make it happen, but you gotta look at those. Every one of those that are over 25% from last year. I say you keep it what it was last year, other than the ones you can't, contractual stuff, I understand you're probably tied by law or something. Insurance, we all know what that's been doing every one of those are over 25%. Really, you're gonna look at those again before you submit this budget and approve this budget as it is, because you gotta peel those down somehow. Or step it somehow over a period of years, I don't know, but 55%. For all the towns, that's, it's high, and I don't know what you're gonna do. Because we all do budgets every year, and we face these issues in our own towns every year, but you gotta step it somehow. So we're not taking this right on one year. I know there's counties in the state that are dealing with the same thing. I hope this isn't because of poor management, because it really gives everybody a black eye. Sheriff's departments, we all want a strong sheriff's department and law enforcement, so it's hard to cut in some places, but I don't know, you're a sheriff, sir?
I am.
How many patrol cars do you have? Does every officer get a patrol car?
They do.
So I don't, back in the day, my father was a selectman, he said back in the 80s, there were 3 patrol cars for the county. Now, no, a lot of things have changed since then, we're talking 25 years, but does every deputy need a patrol car? Why can't a guy, I know when he's on call for a week, yeah, he takes the patrol car home
Yeah.
and does his job. But do we have to have a patrol card for every deputy? I don't know. I mean, the sheriff knows better than I would, but that just seems like one of those things you can look at, or the sheriff can look at. But these items that are over 25%, you've really gotta pay those back somehow, wherever you can, to save every penny you can to get this down from a 55% increase item to 20 or 25 or something. I don't know how you're gonna make it, but this is crazy.
Okay, thank you. Kim Weaver?
Hello. I'm Kim Weaver. I'm a select board member for the town of Waldo. I know you keep talking about the fact that you're not up to date on your audit. Can you let me know what your unaudited number is in your reserve?
They don't know.
Oh,
Unaudited.
your daily checkbook. Every town has one. You don't know what's in your reserve?
In the reserve. I don't,
My God.
I'm not quite sure what you're saying, reserve.
The answer is no. The answer is no.
Reserve, but you are asking every hardworking person in this town, in this county, to come up with a larger budget when you still don't know the numbers that are accurate, correct?
Correct.
What the actual? So, have you thought about making any cuts? I know you mentioned, sir, that your one office personnel lady is working 50 to 55 hours, and do you think that everybody here is gonna have to work harder than that to come up with this 56% increase? Have you thought about maybe dialing back some of the positions, some of the overtime?
Yeah.
When you make a budget at home, do you make any cuts?
Betty?
Half of this, I think, here is, what was.
The question is, have we considered cutting position?
I mean, you're adding positions, so in a time when you don't know how much money you have, but you seem to have plenty in reserve, because I know previously you mentioned you have 10 months is what you're working with of carryover money. Did I hear that correctly?
Right.
Your auditor, I mean, our auditor in the town of Waldo lets us know that we can carry over 3 months legally worth of bills, not 10. But you have 10 months in reserve?
Yeah.
I don't know that I understand your question.
Okay. In your opening, you were going over how you're not a fiscal year budget, you're 18 months.
Yeah,
Correct?
no, this budget is a calendar year budget.
Okay, but you said you had 10 months worth of money that you're keeping.
No, we said we had 10 months worth of expense information that we can then
Okay.
calculate what the
Do you
12-month
know
amount.
How many months you have
How many months of,
in your reserve to cover for your bills? How many months could you make it through right now?
I don't know.
Can you answer that question?
I mean, this is before you ask the entire county for a 56% increase. I think these are kind of things you should know. Also, so for the jail and the wages, why is that increasing from 72%, 30%? What is their pay compared to surrounding areas?
Sheriff?
I'll defer to Kevin because all wages, whether it's at the correctional facility or in the patrol division, are all set through negotiations between the unions and the commissioner's office.
Okay. Right, so.
Going back in the hot seat again. So let me go back to your reserve question. Just so we have about $1.9 million in 32 accounts for reserves. Right now.
It's expensive, but okay.
Okay, that we know for a fact. Last year in 2025, we started pulling down on the tan around the beginning to mid-April. So we had enough cash carryover to cover January, February, March, and the beginning of April before we started pulling down the tan. To go to your question on the wages in the corrections office facility, we've lost a number of people to other counties because of the geography, especially in the sheriff, especially in the jail. And what happens is that, you know, due to the union contracts, when somebody departs, then there's overtime, then there's comp time, then there's sick, you know, this all adds up. And so the reason for an increase in wages is to stabilize our workforce. Because at one point in 2024, they were offering bonuses, and as soon as that time period was up, which was typically a year in the surrounding counties and ourselves, they were leaving and jumping ship and going for another bonus. So the time that somebody is vacating a position costs the county money.
Understand that completely, but when you chose to not negotiate, it doesn't look like there was any sort of negotiations on what was asked for and what was approved by the budget committee. So when someone asks you, I want X amount of dollars or percent in an increase, a normal cost of living every year is what, 3%?
Approximately.
So is that what's on here?
3.5%, somewhere in that range.
It seems
So
like
there-
the majority of these are a lot more than 3.5%.
Correct. There were negotiations with the corrections union that was ongoing for a period of 6.5 months, I believe. To try to get to a point where we could stabilize the workforce and stop the workforce from turning over.
It sounds great. In theory, was there a pay study?
I couldn't hear the last piece.
A pay study. Was there a pay
Yes, there
study?
was.
And it found that this was accurate, not 3.5%.
Yes.
Interesting. Doesn't make sense, but I
Um,
think you have a lot more audit work to do as well.
Robin.
there's also for payroll across the county, correct me if I'm wrong, but they do a 26 period payroll. And 2026 is one of those years where, because of the way our calendars go and our years go, it's a 27 period. So that's a 2-week thing. So there's 4% additional payroll in every payroll line just because there's an additional payroll in this 2026 budget.
And then for the information and technology, could you break that down for us? Since it's a 282% increase from last year, could you please break
I'm
that
sorry, for what?
information technology?
Yeah.
That's a large jump.
In prior years, the IT budget was largely covered through reserves, and the budget committee didn't see what those expenses were. This year, they brought it forward and put it up.
So would you
Same problem.
consider in a time where it's very clear, you don't really know what's in the reserves, you don't really know how much money you have because the audits aren't up to date, maybe you don't raise the budget?
Yeah.
Scott Wood. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian Simmons.
Pick it up from Scott. I didn't bring my glasses, so keep my blood pressure down. Because it's a good thing, I just wanna make a comment. Years ago, I farmed all my life, logging, these people here, I'm talking to a lot of young kids, I haul a lot of wood. And, everybody's breaking taxes and it's crazy. We're all hardworking in Waldo County, and I went to a meeting when I was a young kid. And first thing guy comes out, he says, you gotta tighten up your belts. And another farmer goes, older farmer, I was quite young, says, you gotta tighten up your belts. He goes, yeah, they're pretty tight up around our neck. And that's what's going on here. I mean, look at the people here. Is this gonna sway? We got chiseled some stuff. I'm around the county a lot. I see a lot of people, deal with a lot of people, a lot of young people. And there's a lot of adults too. But is this gonna sway you? We gotta chisel some just different organizations in the county that deal with the county. I mean, I remember years ago, we bought that land over at Boynton's, 100 acres. 100 acres, we'd be making money now. There's been poor decisions. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but as a group, with what us human beings have for brains, holy cow. I couldn't believe it, that we sold that land and didn't build a jail 18, 20 years ago. No, nobody was on the board here, but, well, I talked to a commissioner, she just got on, and, I don't know. I just hope it's so easier to do some chiseling or keep the budget right where it is. You know, it's hard. We got, you know, the mills are shutting down. It's hard farming, it's hard logging. That's what I'm in. I'm the third selectman in Wall. And, you know, look at this. You know, we could fill up another more, I mean, here. I don't know. I'm just sitting here and there's some other stuff, you know, coming up, you know, and he brought up a lot and I can remember on the cruisers, you know. I know there's a lot more outlawing going out there, but we got state troopers, we got game wardens, we used to have a town constable. Yeah, I'll be a town constable, oh, Ranger, shoot, I'll put a badge on me. It's just like, holy cow. And if you're hiring a few more years, I will be getting slowed up on my life that I can run the farm up there. But I'll do some chiseling. I don't need that much pay. But anyways, I don't know. Just want to throw comments out there.
Thank you.
Scott Wood. I guess my main questions are, coming right back to the financials. And, do we have actual financials from 2020 to 25? We have.
When you say, do we have audited financials? Is that your question?
Financials. I know they haven't all been audited.
We have their financial information from their system.
Okay,
And
so
it
you
has not been audited since 2021.
You said that some of these are with the auditors now. Are they with the auditors because they can't finish them? Or are they with the auditors and it's in their hands just to finish them? Or are they missing paperwork and other things?
Kevin?
So the auditors on 2022 have all the information that they've requested. It's in their hands. And they have promised us that by the end of December, we'll receive the 2022s and immediately start on the 2023s.
So, you know, what about like 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24? What is the progressive plan now that we're screwed up against the wall with this? What kind of plan are you guys gonna come up with? And obviously, the first thing we need to do is not raise the taxes this year, of course, because we don't even have a clue what we have or what we're doing. So what is the plan going to be? And it really should be a public vote, because I think that we're in such bad shape with this. And you know what? It may not be any of your faults or anything else, not blaming anybody. But Belfast needs to come clean on all this stuff. The county needs to come clean. We need to lay it out there so we can get better. We can't continue down this road. I can't afford 50% increase. And I'm here on behalf of 1,000 other people that I know in the county that can't make it to these things like this on a Friday night. They damn sure can't pay this. There's gonna be people losing homes over this kind of thing right here. If it means that we don't have sheriff's trucks, or if we have to cut a position that may not be needed, whatever it may be, then we need to do it.
Very good.
Thank you. Steve Hand.
Steve Hand, I'm a Lincolnville resident, I'm the chair of the Lincolnville Select Board, and I'll touch on IT quite a bit because I've been an IT professional for 30-40 years. A few things I'm paraphrasing here because a lot of people have already touched on things. Transparency is the most important thing here that we don't have. Not a single person that we got. You're all select board members. There's a ton of select board members in this crowd. Transparency is critical, and if we don't have it, and we need it. Everybody in this room is expecting it. Digging into IT, I had the privilege of getting some data from Robin Tarantino. The numbers in that IT budget are wrong. Some of the per line item units, the person that did the budget, I'm sorry, they didn't know what they were doing. $710 for a line item unit. I'm in the industry, I know the stuff, $400. There's multiple line items where they were wrong. Maybe it's been adjusted since what I saw, but there is definitely some issues in that portion of the budget. More importantly, I understand that you weren't looking at it because it was in reserves. What organization runs a county, 90 employees-ish? You don't have a single line item in the budget for previous years for software, for maintenance, for information security. When everybody getting hacked is a huge issue. There wasn't a line item in your budget. That is a problem. I'm happy it's there now, but that needs to be addressed. That's the transparency we don't have. The reserve account. You talk about $200,000 coming from reserves to pay for IT a couple of years ago. $200,000 this year coming from it. Yet we see a $600,000 increase in 1 year.
Yeah.
And then there's still $150,000 in the reserve budget for this year for technology. So you're really talking, you could say it's computers or it's technology. That's $750,000-$800,000 that came from Scott, came from nowhere. Let's make sure I've got everything. Employee benefits. This is probably really a risk issue. I come from a large company, 1,700 people that was self-insured. We sat with a third-party administrator every year, actually quarterly, and they gave us input on how much money to be put in reserves to cover that. That may be what we're running up against. Again, we need that transparency as to why we're seeing a $3 million increase in this area of the budget. That's not what we can handle as taxpayers of the county. We may not be able to change it this year. We need to get out of self-insured for a 100-person organization. It doesn't make sense. I think I heard the gentleman say we're the only county in the state doing that. It doesn't make sense unless you're a 500 to 1,000-person organization, and you're not that. Last of all, we're not in crisis as far as the budget the county's running. We're moving forward. You do not have to make a decision tonight. There is no way you can muddle enough numbers in the next 2 hours to make a logical decision and be transparent with everybody in this room tonight. You can't do it.
Amen.
Take your time. Table this vote tonight. Once you've got all of these questions answered. If that takes you another 30 or 45 days, so be it. The law states that we work forward going into the new year with the existing budget or nothing exceeds the existing budget and make the decisions when you're ready. Don't rush this. Do what's right. And there's so many select board members in this room. We all know how to move forward with this. And I'm so happy this has been a respectful discussion this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. George Hazard. Maybe Gary. Gary hasn't.
Gary hasn't. I want to correct the record. It said, I am from Thorndike. I'm a citizen of Thorndike. I'm on the planning board, but I don't necessarily represent Thorndike. My comments are my personal comments. I would like to simply second or affirm many of the comments, especially the last speaker and the first speaker that we heard tonight, to defer this decision. I come from the private sector, from a manufacturing background, where we have our budgets audited and squared away within a quarter. We have to, in order to run successful, profitable businesses. I understand municipalities operate differently, but in Thorndike, I attend many select board meetings and their workshops, and I know that we are within a few months of having our audited 2025 figures done. So I don't know why there's an issue here, but the fact that we don't have audited figures means that we really shouldn't even be having a conversation, because we're talking about funny numbers. Well, numbers that just, we just pulled something out of the sky. We need facts so that we can make good, sound decisions that respect the taxpayers and leaves you with integrity.
Yeah.
The kind of increases you're asking for are not commensurate with the kind of pay increases that hardworking people expect or are getting in this county at this time in history. It's disproportionate. It's unreasonable. We're here saying that to you, and I hope you're hearing it. This is a respectful conversation. I appreciate that very much, but I'm not confident that you're getting the message. I hope that you are. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Beverly Ward. Get that award?
Oh, well, my name's not Beverly. Actually, pretty much everything that I had to say, and then some already come out. But, like, the school budget we vote on, maybe we should vote on this.
Yeah.
Not tonight, but when you have the information available.
Gotcha. Thank you. Paul McCarrier.
Hi, my name's Paul T. McCarrier. I'm from Monroe, Maine. Can everyone hear me? Okay, great. So I just thank you for taking your lashings for this. It's, you know, you guys have put a product together, and that's more than a lot of other people have done. But the points that have been brought up by people earlier about the audit says that we can't even consider the product now. I also just want to raise the point that these people can't hear, including I think one of the county commissioners is having trouble hearing from the public. I think I'm going to suggest that there should be another public hearing at a better facility. So we can accommodate enough citizens and taxpayers of Waldo County, while at the same time ensuring that everyone can listen. And I know that some people who wanted to be here couldn't be here because of the time also, because it wasn't very well advertised. So I'm hoping that you do not take a vote on this tonight. I hope that you plan for another hearing at a better equipped facility, and everything that has been said earlier by the IT select person, by the first person, by the gentleman from Thorndike, from everyone here so far, it rings true. I don't need to repeat it. For me, when I saw that IT budget, and then now we're learning about what the costs are, and we have an expert who is saying that there's real problems with the line items, that's almost like a call for investigation, especially when we don't have an audit. Because we don't know where that money's going. People are overbilling. We know there's a lot of overbilling happening in the state right now for other government agencies. And it's completely irresponsible to try to have a budget increase of that much when you're having an expert come and say, this $700 item is really $400. When you don't have, simple things like the security, the maintenance, the software. So I really hope that you do hear us, you do listen to us, and that you schedule another public hearing and take the feedback from everyone today, and it's better equipped so everyone can participate, including people who can't hear well.
Thank you. John McKee.
Close enough.
Well, it's great writing.
Yeah. Ray Mackey. I'm in Lincolnville. I'm the pastor of Bayshore Baptist Church, right on Route 1 in Lincolnville. I grew up in Searsport. I'm blessed to live in Lincolnville with my family, and I'm gravitating toward this right now because I'm used to staying. I also have a small business, and early on in my small business, I made some really dumb financial blunders. And when I came out of that, thankfully, I was able to ask myself 3 questions that I've tried to learn and grow from when it comes to making financial decisions. Ones that probably everyone in here knows already. Number 1, do I have money before I make the decision? And I'm asking you to ask this question as well. Now, the tricky answer is that, yeah, you do have them. But it's going to come off of our backs. So that's the first question. Do I have the money? Number 2, do I know where the money's going that I have? And as we've heard tonight, not really, not based on the track record, or rather the lack thereof. And the third question is, am I stretching every dollar as far as I can? And again, based on what we've heard tonight, that's just not the case. So I ask you all, and I'm thankful that there's been such a positive response, to really rethink this budget moving forward. Thankfully, the small business blunders that I made only affected me and my family, and we were able to get out of them. But this decision affects all of Waldo County. So please really think it through. Okay,
Thank you. Michelle, ready?
Hey, it's Bate.
Brate?
Thanks, everyone. I am from Belfast and I represent almost an entire neighborhood. Most of the people couldn't come tonight. They have little kids. Some of them are extremely elderly. And I just want to say that when I read final budget meeting, I got really nervous. And I think that every single person who's here tonight is incredibly genuinely startled and worried. And already looking at all kinds of personal increases such as health insurance and rent. We can't just pass this budget. And so what I'm wondering is, what's the timeline for this? How much leeway do we have? And how can we all stay involved in this process so that we have transparency, we have participation of the entire community of Waldo County, and people like from Islesboro can be here, and we have Zoom people, and we can all hear each other because we all care about each other. This is a beautiful, incredible place to live. We want to stay here, all of us, and we don't want to suffer because we just can't afford it. Thank you.
Thank you. I will kind of respond to the process. The process, as it's established, says that the budget will be, will approve a budget by the end of the end of their fiscal year. But if we don't approve a budget by the end of the fiscal year, then the county will go on with their prior year budget, and they can't exceed that prior year budget. And the budget committee will continue to work to get to the right numbers. That's the process. Until that happens, then the county is held. The county is held on its prior year budget. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
There's
It was difficult, actually, to know when this meeting was gonna take place for most people. They missed it. A lot of people missed it. So how can we make sure that everyone is included from now on, from tonight on, in this process? Because we all really care, and I think we have an incredible resource of people that, including all of you, that could maybe work together on this. This is a lot.
Well, the way the budget committee is established is that there is three people from each district. There's 3 districts in the county. And those people are a selectman within their towns, or a councilman, and on their town council. And that's how the budget committee is selected.
Are they trained to do this?
No, I mean, none of us are trained. I mean, we're just like you.
What's not working.
Right.
And there are a lot of people here who do know things and can maybe help each other. I know it sounds nuts, but we all have to work this out.
No, thank you. Kevin Winglow?
That's Anderson School penmanship. Kevin Winslow, he's from Belfast now. I'm a Laurel boy, I guess, but I'm right on the town line. Just to reiterate, how can we fiscally even feel right passing a budget of 55%? Nothing goes up 55% and people are happy. Nothing. Whether it's gas or anything in our lives. So I would hope you would never even think about voting for something that's 55% higher. What is your acceptable time of how far out you're waiting for an audit? And why not cause a stink? Okay, if your audit is out 2 years, is that acceptable to you? As probably local town people, okay, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, but that far back, no, cause a stink, find a new auditor, do something. Because that's the fiscal responsibility that we're all hearing that we need. How can you agree with a union representatives on wages when you haven't even set a budget yet? If the union's asking for this much, and we have a budget down here, then you say, no, I'm sorry, we can't do it. Okay? And what happens when these selectmen, if you pass this budget at 55% higher, and all these selectmen and women from the different towns just say, nope, sorry, we're only gonna give you last year's money.
Exactly.
What happens? Does the court stop happening? Do the cop cars stop going around? I haven't seen too many cop cars in Morrill, so I'm not worried about those. Okay, but what happens? What happens when we balk back at that? That's what I wanna know.
I don't know what happens. I don't. If you don't have the money to do the job, you
They
can't
don't.
do it. That's right. Any comments from the commissioner?
You just have to see board meeting.
All the papers and that paper.
Okay, Cindy Bog.
All the county does.
My name is Cindy Bogan, and I am the chair of the select board in the town of Slaughterville. And I'd like to circle back, but before I do, I have a question for this audience. We have a lot of select board members here. Would you please raise your hand if you know what LD1 is? When you are doing your budget, you know what LD1 is? LD1 is the umbrella that we're all under and mandated by the state to know and to understand to create a budget. Yours is 706, which that man asked you if you knew. And unfortunately, you said you did not refer to it. The only reason you can exceed that budget by the amount they are asking for is 5 reasons. Sorry, I gotta put my glasses on. Catastrophic events, a natural disaster, terrorism, fire, war, or a riot. Number 2, underfunded state or federal mandates or unfunded program. A citizen's initiative or other referendum. A court order or a decree. Or loss of state or federal funding. Extraordinary circumstances do not include changes in an economic condition, a revenue shortfall, an increase in salary and benefits, and those are what you're trying to increase us for. You cannot do it for new programs or a program expansion, and I would take your IT large budget as expansion. This is your Bible. You should know this. And I'm really sorry. You are all volunteers just like I am. We're doing the best we can in our town. But I know I need to know LD1 and I need to know my responsibilities. And I'm asking you to please check this out with your attorney for Waldo County before you do it. You're gonna get yourself in a big mess. The other thing is, this is in 706, number 5, that puts those words that I just read here. You can, in other circumstances, extend the budget, but you can't just do it to raise money for programs. You heard what I read. It's very important that you check this. I did my homework. I called my town attorney. I called Chip Curry, our Waldo County representative, and I did a lot of homework. This budget cannot pass in the way that you're presenting it. I'm begging you to put a pause on it, check it, and make sure we're doing it correctly.
No violence.
I understand that you guys are up against it and you're doing the best you can, but when you said you didn't know what this paper was, I just didn't, I couldn't believe it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Renee Willett.
Right here. My name is Rainey Willett. You're not French. And I'm a select person in Freedom. We did not have a survey in town to see what the townspeople thought as a whole about the budget. But I can, so I'll be speaking mostly for myself, but I can say that everyone I've spoken to in town who talked to me about the budget was extremely concerned. And I would just echo many of the comments that were already made. I do have a couple of questions though. One is about process. As I understand it, the way the budget gets developed is that the departments make a request to the commissioners. The commissioners then tie all that together, make some changes, and then hand that to you all. And then you try to make sense of that in a way that you can sell to us. But when it comes down to it, this is the commissioner's budget.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a budget committee, we are not auditors, so we don't audit. You know, if somebody tells us, oh, it's gonna cost $500 for this, we take their word for it. Unless we think there's something fishy.
Well, Bob, I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for you because you're the one taking the heat, when in fact, it's the commission's budget.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I wonder, it looks like you might have a lot of experience sitting up there. How long have each of you been on in the county commission?
I have been 15 years.
So 12 months.
Technically, it's been 11 months. This hasn't been a full 12 month yet. But yes, I agree with that.
And you also 11 months?
Right. I have two new commissioners and me with experience. We have been working between periods of our meetings. So almost every Thursday, we would have a meeting, either a workshop or something, to introduce both of them into some of what county government is. And trying to be more transparent, we also kind of dug into things, looking at contracts, did many things. We've been working very hard. We did come up with a budget that is increased, but we've also been very careful with what we did increase and tried to make changes where we could. And it is a work in action where we need to keep continuing with it.
We can't hear.
Things have gotten started. And I'm hoping that we can continue to work the way we've been working. To make these changes and to learn all the things. Unfortunately, the audit is a problem. And we cannot get an auditor, which is something that we've been wanting to get caught up on.
We've had a lot of comments.
The state. Counties, we're all facing the same thing.
We had a lot of comments about the audit already.
Right. Pardon?
We can't hear you.
That's the reason why I didn't speak too much, as my voice does not carry. But Kevin, the Commissioner Kelly, has had a lot of experience with numbers and contracts and things, and he has been really working hard to keep us informed and to teach us. So I think we have a good group, and I'd like to see it continue. The other thing is, the budget does need to keep being worked on. But I trust the budget committee. They've asked a lot of questions. We've answered a lot of questions. We've been working together. And hopefully that we can continue this and have some transparency. Because that has been lacking in the last year. So I've been trying very hard with the two new commissioners that would become transparent.
I'm in a similar boat to the two gentlemen in that I was elected to the select board in June. And here we are in our budget season, and, one thing I know is we're fighting like crazy with our budget committee and with our select board to keep, the increase in our budget, well below double digits. I also know that there's a lot of learning curves, when you're new to the role. So I don't, I don't envy you your positions. I also won't be critical, because I know that, you're getting your feet on the ground and trying to make it work. But I will say that, that 55% increase is, as many other people have said, is untenable.
Yeah.
So a couple of other questions. In fiscal year 2024, what, at the end of that year, how much unexpended funds were there?
How many what?
How much unexpended funds were there?
In 2024,
I'm sorry,
21,000,
701.
721,000.
701.
701,000.
That was on a budget of 2,029,000.
No, that was on a budget of 12,527,000.
I'm looking at your summary page at the end of this year's proposed budget.
That is just the jail. Are you looking at the back of this whole thing here? 2,029,000. That was the jail.
Okay, thank you. So, what percentage of that year's budget did that, represent?
Well, 6%.
6%. I had the wrong numbers, apparently. Is there a summary page for the entire budget? In the budget?
I have one.
One of the problems,
That does not smack of transparency.
there is a summary page on the handout that they gave you, but there is a problem with it.
I didn't get a handout. What I'm trying to lead to is.
Yeah.
6%, where did that money go? In
Well-
2024.
Again, it's not audited, right? So
Yeah, it's
as
not
far
actually
as,
frauded.
as far as we understand, whatever is still, just sitting as
Whatever.
unspent budget money that would be
Carried over.
ultimately in some kind of general fund, but we have not got that information as a budget committee. We had to make up our own schedules to see what the
Okay.
budget was versus what was actually spent for the full years of the prior years. And that's why I said I have the number, because they did not, we weren't able to get that as an actual spreadsheet from the county.
So do you know how much is in that fund?
Well, when you say that fund, they have a lot of different accounts. So no, I mean, I'm not the finance person. I don't know where they're, I just know that when we bottom lined it, what we had as actual expenditures versus the budget, we had $701,454 that were not expended from the 2024 budget. That's been part of our feeling that we could reduce 2026's budget based on looking at 2024 and 2023, because 2023 had $529,803 left in budgeted funds that were not spent in 2023. Again, both of those years are unaudited because the audits haven't happened yet. And so,
Yeah, and if
Without
they,
an audit, we should know where that money went.
if
well,
that money should have lapsed into the undesignated
Yeah.
fund balance. It
Right.
should have,
And
but we don't have the
and that gets
undesignated.
spread across the 30 some accounts.
That's our understanding. You know.
To me, when you're looking at an enormous budget increase, the first thing you look at is what unexpended funds from previous years can we use against that budget? And with so, you know, I hear you, I hear everybody about the audits, and the audits do give you more security about the numbers that you're looking at. But even without the audits,
We can
$700,000.
we can estimate. Yeah,
Yeah, you can make estimates and you can use those to help with this year's budget.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Johnson.
Yep, we're here. I feel like it's a shame that we're here on Friday night. I don't know who scheduled this meeting, but the timing is terrible.
All our meetings are Friday night.
That does not
Friday nights
encourage
and all day Saturday.
participation.
Public
Wow.
meetings.
When you've got a bunch of people who are on select boards, every select board seems to meet different days of the week. So we end up meeting Friday nights because
And a
no
lot-
select boards meet on Friday nights.
And a lot of the people on our committee also have jobs that they can't meet during the week. So we spent a fair number of Friday nights and Saturdays here.
God bless you.
So
Yeah,
anyhow,
I just think that it's tough to come here and see the sign, like we heard earlier, final meeting and this outrageous increase. And I thought I would come and find more confidence in these decisions, but it's gone the other way entirely. And I have more questions than I had before. All of the things I've heard have been great, and I support all the comments that have come up so far. I don't think anyone here has supported passing this budget. And I really hope that you don't.
thank you. Walter Sarnacki.
Right here. I'm a former selectman from the town of Searsport. I chaired it for 3 years. Went through 3 different budget processes, audited budget processes. From what I've been hearing tonight, you can't pass this budget. Based on the information that I've heard, I would make a motion if I were you, and I don't envy you in any way, shape, or form. I would make a motion to table and basically do a working session, something, and get your act together and get a lot more information and get a better setting, like everybody else has said, get a good setting. I just found out about this a few hours ago from a neighbor, and we showed up. We're from Searsport. My taxes in Searsport went up over $1,500 last year and over $2,400 this year in one swoop. And we just cannot afford to keep doing this. We can't afford to keep carrying this on our backs. I've worked hard all my life. I was in academia. I'm an engineer. I'm a graduate of Maine Maritime Academy. And I've worked really hard to get what I've got. And I hate like hell to think that I've got to sell my house and move away from the coast of Maine because the taxes are driving a lot of people out of the state of Maine. There's a brain drive out of a lot of people, young people aren't staying here because the taxes in the state of Maine are absolutely over the top. So this is just you're a sounding board, and God bless you all for going through this to take your licks, but
Okay, thank you very much. Matthew Cameron.
Hi, Matthew Cameron from Morrill. Just moved out there with my wife after essentially my grandparents were taxed out of Camden and my parents moved out to Lincolnville. They're increasingly becoming taxed out of Lincolnville because Lincolnville, as of other towns, like their public schools are out of control with their spending. Lincolnville hasn't provided an audit for their school forever and they're still approving spending. I don't understand how that's happening. We don't have audits here either. I'm finding it's a scary similarity between all the towns and how they function. Nobody knows where any spending's going. The problem is our anger and frustration is kind of directed at each other right now, and it shouldn't be. We lost 25% of our purchasing power in the last 5 years because the federal government's just printing money right now.
Yeah.
Our government doesn't even have the money, which is why they're stealing oil from other countries. They're seizing gold. They're trying to start conflict for resources right now. I'm a veteran. I was in the Coast Guard, so fortunately I didn't ship overseas. I would not recommend my children or anybody's children to do military service right now, which I'm ashamed of because my grandparents served in the military.
Stick with the budget, please.
So my recommendation is the budget freezes permanently until audits are proven. And we have where the cards are gonna fall. We should keep spending locked in because as a community, we need to keep spending where it's at right now. Nobody can afford this. We've lost our purchasing power. It's gonna get worse. So we're gonna have to unfortunately volunteer our time as a community to help one another and come together. We can't keep doing this. We need to help each other. So my recommendation is freeze the budget where it's at right now. Don't approve it. Let's get the audits, then come together and figure out the budgets, make cuts where we need cuts, but we can't apply more spending. And that's what I have to say on this.
Okay, thank you.
Deborah Jellison?
Oh, no.
No?
I'm all set.
Eric, Buchler? Buck? Eric Buck.
Eric Bush.
Bush.
Yeah. Good evening. I'm a resident of Belfast. I've actually, as the commissioners know, I've spent quite a bit of time at meetings of the commission over the past really 2 years. First focusing on the use of ARPA funds by the county, and more recently opioid settlement money. I'm very concerned about this budget. This has been years in the making. We're seeing this appear now, but the roots of this have been several years in formation. And from what I've seen, this county represents the lack of transparency. Our commissioners are conducting, I would say, half of the meetings that they hold are in executive session. Ostensibly workshops or special meetings, but you can't find discussion about this budget in any significant way in formal meetings of the actual open meetings that they're holding. So with all that's gone on behind this, with the whole idea of the 18-month budget possibility that was pulled back, with a very complicated budget with some large increases, you won't find discussion of all of that in regular board minutes of our commissioners. Those conversations are happening in executive sessions, which obviously are out of public view. So for commissioners to sort of throw out this word about, oh, we're trying to become more transparent, that's bunk.
Yeah,
I
agree.
And I've been to enough of your meetings to know it. There's been a lot of really great points here. I was surprised that first with the transmission of the budget to the budget committee, there's no narrative. The budget committee coming up with a budget and posting it prior to this meeting, no narrative. So you look at line items in the budget, you have no clue as to what would have led them to accept this line or only take $1,000 out of this line, because you have, as a community member, you have no knowledge whatsoever about what's behind the numbers. I can't imagine ever presenting a budget as detailed as this one to any audience and not having a narrative to justify it. So. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I really think this is in a way, a vote of non-confidence in our commissioners. And two of them are new. One of them has been in her seat for 16 years. I think there really needs to be a consideration about a resignation, quite frankly, by the chair of our commissioners and by our county treasurer, who is not up there, but seems to play absolutely no role in this as the treasurer of Waldo County. I don't know what role he played with this budget committee, but why do we have a treasurer if that person isn't weighing in and helping first the commissioners and then this budget committee to try to reconcile this? So my final thing would be, I'm sure most of you haven't seen it, but the League of Women Voters and another couple of organizations put out a report this summer called Democracy in Maine. It has a 5-page chapter on county government in Maine. And universally, they're saying county government is in trouble for many of the reasons we've talked about here. But there is a real question arising now. Look at Washington County, look at Penobscot County, look at Knox County, look at Waldo County. There's a real question arising now about the viability of county government. There are several New England states actually, and others elsewhere, but I know in New England, that have given up county government. And they've reordered the responsibilities with the state taking on a large share of the responsibility. But, you know, you can say, ooh, but I don't see much evidence that county government is working right now and that it's accountable. So it's not just here, it's in lots of other areas of our state. And so something's got to happen. Something's going to have to be done to increase the quality of management, the quality of board leadership, the accountability, the financial and otherwise, or else, you know, our counties are just going to fall apart. So we need to take some drastic action here and elsewhere in Maine to make county government work if it's going to continue to exist. Waldo County government is not working. So, thank you.
Judson, Colby Judson. Yeah. I'm a resident of the town of Belmont and a taxpayer in 5 towns in the county. And in the last year, we've had several increases in 2 route reevaluations in 2 of those towns. And just as a taxpayer, enough's enough. I mean, we can only bear so much. And there was a lot of good points tonight. I appreciate everyone coming. I appreciate you guys doing your job. I'm also a realtor who owns a small business in town, and it's getting harder and harder to sell real estate with more taxes too. So there's several considerations, and school budgets, yeah, at least we get to vote on those, you know, put it to the public. That's my 2 cents. Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Heather Donahue.
Hi, I'm Heather Donahue. I'm from Freedom, and I wanted to go back to the IT thing for a moment. You said that was being pulled from the reserve account?
Reserve account.
Now, is that just the general undesignated fund, or do you?
No, as far as I understand, the commissioners are the ones that control the reserves.
How many reserves are there? What are they called? Where do they live?
So I get the handoff here. So there's 32 reserve accounts.
I'm sorry, what?
There's 32 designated reserve accounts.
Wow.
Yes. And that's one of the problems that was created back in 2022 and 23. We have since sent out a letter to the state auditor because we want to reduce and combine those reserve accounts and make sure the language is very clear as to what those reserve accounts are used for. In the case of IT, there was no reserve account. The IT was paid for out of a number of reserve accounts out of the undesignated fund accounts. And one of the things that we told the budget committee this year is we actually had a workshop before they started and actually started their work. Is that they were gonna see an IT budget, and that's the reason there's a sticker shock on that budget. It's about $899,000 right now. So that's the reason that you're seeing an IT budget. I did sit down with the IT director, along with the finance director, line by line, software by software, licensing issues, what's it cost when we hire an employee? We've driven it down to the penny. There is requirements, since we're a county, that we do have to follow the FBI security protocols too. So and having done some IT stuff in my career, when we presented with narrative, to your point, to the budget committee, and we went through that line by line, there were some cuts in it. However, there is no reserve account for IT, and we wanted to establish a reserve account for IT because in a few years, our operating system is going to need to be upgraded. So we want to start early with a capital plan, with a step-by-step capital plan, so that when we do hit, another 3 years, and the funds are there. So that's what we've done with IT.
So to recap, there are 32 reserve funds that you don't know what they're for?
Well, we do know what they're for, but I think there's too many of them. I think we can get it down to probably around 8.
Okay, but none of them were for IT.
None were for IT.
But now IT is no longer pulling from any of those reserve funds, correct?
Correct.
Where's that money?
Thank you. Exactly.
I didn't hear that.
So do we?
So where's the money?
So where's the money?
So that's the reason we proposed the budget. So originally it was coming from each department. And it was pulled out of the department so we consolidate and for security reasons and to make sure that we're standardizing the security protocols and equipment, within each cost center.
Okay, and I just wanted to know, are you gonna continue to fund these with TAN notes? Because my understanding is that the financing on the TAN note costs us about $300,000 a year as well. Is that
No.
correct or no? No more TAN notes?
It doesn't cost anywhere near that.
Okay,
What does it cost?
what is the TAN note financing cost? Just finance it. of the
Right.
TAN note.
This year, we only paid $68,000 in interest on the TAN notes. We budgeted almost $300,000 because we were told last year that that was a reasonable number. We pushed back a lot this year on the TAN note. They initially wanted it to be well over $500,000 budgeted, and we got them down to 175. And in my notes, I was hoping to knock off the 75 and make it a flat 100, which still is more than the 68,000 that we paid this year. Also, to me, this goes to the fact that we haven't had an audit for many years, which is part of that conservative approach that I've mentioned before, where they're trying not to under budget. To me, the fact that we only had to borrow over the course of several months, just shy of $4 million, that we only paid $68,000 for interest, says that we do have those funds. We do have unexpected cash funds.
From the 32 reserve accounts?
Well, somewhere in the checking accounts, they've got 40 some odd checking accounts. That's another whole story.
Wait, what? Back up. How many checking accounts?
49.
49? And no audit.
And that's it. Nobody currently in the finance department wants 49 accounts. They are trying their best. That's part of why they had to hire another person, because everybody here who's ever balanced a checkbook, how like try doing 50 of them every month and getting anything else done in your job. So
Can I just bottom line it,
Hold on.
tell me like I'm 5? If all these things have been over budgeted so extraordinarily over the past few years, why do you need a 50% increase?
well, first I would say we don't need a 50%, and it honestly is not a 50%. This is I think, okay, Bob and I went through this very carefully. The last year budgets, like they were saying how they've moved things out of the jail and into other departments. And, we've got all facilities in one place now and all IT in one place. they didn't restate the 2025 numbers to really be comparable to the 2026 numbers. I had it restated because I took these to change it so that we'd have a better sense of, first of all, I know it was called a final meeting. None of us on this board have considered that what has been published is a final budget. We were not in any way going to vote this as a final budget tonight, just so everybody understands, okay?
That's news.
But, well, because it's a anyway, but the actual, when you take the numbers that in 2025, we're down here in that one line for the jail, because I know a lot of people have wondered, why does the jail look like it's lower than last year? It's lower than last year because last year's numbers include a whole bunch of facility stuff, utilities and telephone and IT and all this other stuff, the employee benefits for the jail. They're all in the last year number in this budget. They're not in the this year number because those numbers are up here. Like the jail employee benefits are in employee benefits this year.
Oh, we didn't
And-
get those two, yeah.
You got,
They are in here. They're,
I mean, a comparative from one year to the next, so that you can do the same thing to go, this is a natural
right.
increase.
All I can say is that's not the way this had been set up. We didn't do this.
Can I make one more request that you actually ask MMA for medical coverage, because it's what every single municipality in this room uses. And that's what MMA exists for, to be able to buy that medical coverage.
But
at a
that's
discount
also
for the municipality.
true. But what I'm trying to get at is that this 55 that everybody keeps talking about, the last year number is really understated. If you're going to, I know it's still not a great number, but it's only 34%. It's still a terrible number. I agree.
Time, respect others who wish to. Exactly.
Tom Wagner.
Tom Wagner, I'm a selectman from the town of Waldo. I also served on the budget committee for a couple of years. And I have a question. Wages and benefits, you guys can't adjust those at all, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So that's completely out of your ballpark. So when you do a line by line evaluation of their budget, what you actually have that you can adjust is tiny, correct?
Not completely, because the benefits we can look at and we can say, hey, maybe your benefits like the health insurance benefit in particular, maybe you're budgeting too much. You're budgeting more than what we would expect you to budget based on history, okay? So we can make adjustments to that in the budget. We really can't make any adjustments to what are the sheriff's deputies earning, because that's all contractually obligated.
So I've heard an enormous amount of talk about this year's projected increase. And this is probably an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is this something that's going to continue? Are you going to be looking at 17, 18 million in 2027?
I'm gonna turn that to the commissioner, because this is the commissioner's budget.
Or is this a once and over the hump and
Hopefully not. I mean, Brooklyn's trying to beat us, so you said that if this is 10 days, and we all as taxpayers.
if this doesn't go through, and I sincerely hope it does not, will you use TANF?
Will we use what?
Tax anticipation notes?
Oh, they have to. I mean, if you look at the county and how it's funded, the county doesn't get any of its revenues until September, October, November. For that particular year. And so they have to go to a TAN note to get the cash that they need to take care of operations.
Next question, what has this done for the ratings for the county?
I didn't hear that.
What has it done for the county rating?
Typically, if you haven't had an audit in this long, you're considered a higher risk, so you're gonna pay more interest.
Do you mind if I answer it?
Somebody did.
7 out of 8 insurance companies didn't want to touch us.
Exactly.
That's how it is.
We don't want to.
But you're talking insurance and he's talking finance. He's talking the TAN.
What do you think pays for the insurance? Finances. You have 4 or 5 years of history that doesn't add up. The
Yep.
math isn't mapping. We need to have an audit done first. We
I
got,
have heard, again, this is a question,
yep,
I have heard that the 2022 audit looks like it will fail. Is there any truth to that?
All right. So.
I mean, it's due out this month, so you must have some indicator.
I have no indicator as of yet. We had to go back on our database for 2022 and 2023 to get access for our accounting database. We had to pay extra for that. It was totally, I think, about $2,500 for each year, give or take. So that was about $5,000 to give the information that they were looking for. And then we've paid them extra to reconcile the checking accounts. So we are waiting for their opinion for the 2022, which is due out this month. I suspect that there'll be a management concern and possibly a finding. Because you understand it, so there's material significant finding and management concern. And let me just add on the auditors.
Louder, please.
Yes, let me just speak about the auditors. In my career, I was used to having audits done in 4 or 5 months. This is unheard of. And what I've discovered is that back in 24, when the county went to go to bid for audits, that there was a number of auditing agencies due to whatever, for retirements, for COVID, you name it, that accounting firms that would audit counties had dramatically reduced. So there's very few auditors in the state right now. And I personally approached 2 other auditing firms, and they don't want to touch counties, period, no matter whether it's us or anybody else. So it got reduced down to HRH. And if you go to the state auditor's page, you'll notice that he is the heavy player. He has a majority of the counties. And, we're kind of at his mercy. We've had called him to the carpet. We've had these conversations with him to get this work done. And the pressure's on. So I want him to finish the audit. I am not used to this whatsoever. Even though I'm a junior commissioner, to me, it is unacceptable, period. Period.
I want to add to that too. Not only that, but I'm gonna give the credit to Kevin on this. He even found an expert who does the forensic auditing on that end that did question the auditor for us too. So I'm gonna throw that out there because he did put in a lot of legwork to find somebody that came in and did that for free for us. That didn't cost us anything. So I do want to give him credit on that.
My suggestion to the budget committee, would it be that you kick this back to the commissioners at a reduced rate? Significantly reduced rate, and let them redo the budget, because they're the ones that really have the power. They've given you the budget, with you have very minimal wiggle room in it. As far as our town goes, we can't afford this. We've had increase in general assistance requests, people asking for tax abatements. We just can't afford it. You guys are writing checks on our backs that we can't afford to pay.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Michael Nicholson?
So I think, let me tell you a little bit of my background. I'm in Belfast. I did financial auditing for a municipal bond company. We had a lot of towns that we gave money to, a lot of jails, private schools, and all that stuff. And so I wanted to distinguish between an audit, which is just taking the financials that have already happened and making sure that they went to where they were supposed to and confirming that they did. That's what an audit is. And so once we get the audit for 22, 23, 24, it's just going to confirm what has already taken place. The problem that we have with a 50% increase or a 30% increase, it's $4.6 million. The problem that we have is with the operations. And so my question is, when was the last time that the county has had an independent consultant come in and audit all the commissioners that are proposing those budgets?
When was the last time you had an independent assessment of all of your budget?
Yeah, we
Budget,
had a,
budget, all your departments.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
So what we used to do is we would go in, we would do the consulting services to make sure the operations are, you kind of peg it to industry standards. So here would be other small towns, maybe you look outside of Maine to try to get some more data. And then we would also audit the financials. So then you have those two taken care of. And then you create a 5-year forecast so that you never run into an issue where you're proposing a $4.6 million increase because you started this forecast back 5 years ago. And so if you publish that to everybody in the town, then they can see, okay, we have a modest 5 to 8% increase year over year, and then we don't run into this problem. And so those are all just suggestions on what you guys should do. Because on this side of the aisle, everyone said, we've got the increase in the revaluation of all the properties that went up. That was at least 30%, could be up to 60% in some places. I'm also a real estate appraiser, so I know what all the values have been. You also have the cost of energy that has gone up 35% for everybody. We've talked about insurance, and then the last little bit of it, once we pay our taxes and we pay for our utilities, nobody has any money left to go to the grocery store, of which those increased 40% over the last 3 years. And so you're talking, if we don't fix these problems, you're gonna have a situation where you have a mass exodus of people that are leaving the state because they can't afford to be here.
Thank you.
Kevin, in response to your independent auditors to come in and look at operations and that type of stuff, we did have one that was performed. I forgot about it when you mentioned it. I'm recalling it was by SMRT. And it was to look at jail operations capacity, because we did this in collaboration with the 6th District collaboration, which was 4 counties. Take a look at the building structures, take a look at the numbers of residents or prisoners, whatever you want to call them, you know, and look at it so that we can project for the future. So we did have that one done, and it did cost the county $32,000. And we can put that on the website or have it available in the county clerk's office for you.
Patty Duffy.
I want to thank you for inviting the people that were out in the hallway in. I want to thank everybody who has commented today. I know I don't look like a former commercial banker, but I am. I can tell you if anybody came to me with a budget like this and said, oh, just mysteriously income is gonna raise 55 or 36 or more than 25%, I'd be surprised. What were the deficiencies in your 2021 audit?
What were the deficiencies in your 2021 audit?
So the 21 audit, there was management concerns about reconciliations. That was the
Okay.
management concern.
And you're thinking, if I'm understanding you correctly, that we're gonna fail the 22 audit?
I didn't say that. I said there might be a finding on our
Both
22
financial
audit.
and managerial, so same as what they maybe were hinting at in
Correct.
2021.
Correct.
So no improvements, no changes. So we've had no audits, increased risk. Thank you for everybody talking, the select people. Thank you for all you do because, whoo. We've had no audit. We have 7 insurance companies that won't accept us. We are basically a bankrupt county. We are right there with Washington, and you can all sit up there and pretend we're not, but we're pretty bankrupt. Because I got a 2.8% increase in my social security. I was in a basement making UPS shipping boxes this morning to get extra money, and I worked half of the day. and I'm here with my animals not being fed. We can't afford this. I think that what I've heard people say at the front table is that this really isn't the final hearing. So did you miswarn the public that this was the final hearing on this budget? And I would recommend that there is a motion to end this meeting, to decline this budget and to bring it up when more people can be a part of this conversation. Thank you.
Rick Blood. Yes, hi, everybody. I'm Rick. I was born and raised in Belfast. I still currently live here. Thank you for hearing all of us tonight. Appreciate that. I just found out early this year that I'm maxed out in my job. I'm not gonna get no more raises. As it is, I'm working till I'm 75 years old. I retired for, what, 2 months? Couldn't make it. So of course I had to go back to work. I understand everybody needs to make a living, but you know, after the city soaked us last year and the county's trying to soak us this year, you know, can you think about maybe going 1 year without having any raises in your personal, you know, job? Just an idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Meadows. So I heard a pretty wise man recently say that if you're driving along and you get into a fog bank, the stupidest thing you can do is speed up. You would, every one of us think that that's reckless. We are clearly in a fog bank with the information available about what's happened. Now, I will give 2 of these commissioners a pass because they're first year in the job. You've been at the helm of this organization, which is in dire crisis. I think we would all agree for longer than 1 year. I would say the only thing you should do is resign.
Yeah.
If you have been listening to department heads that are giving you budgets that are far greater than what they end up spending, and then once again, you're taking these budget numbers and saying, well, that's what they said they need. That's mismanagement. If you are a commissioner, you are essentially the board that we have hired to run the organization that we're all a part of. That is your job. The only thing you can responsibly do is manage that organization that is in clear crisis, and you need to do it better, because coming to this, all of us, with a 50-some% increase, or whether it's 30-some% increase, absent natural disaster, absent terrorism, absent some horrible situation, that's inexcusable. Not one person here is making 30-some% more money, I'll bet, than we made last year. Now, if you are on this budget committee, and I know 2 of you pretty well, and I know you to be decent, smart, hardworking, honest people. In a few minutes, you're gonna have a decision. You can either be complicit in passing what will likely be, in history, the most reckless budget that has ever gone through this county, or you can do the responsible thing and say, I will not agree to this. I will not vote for this, because you have an alternative, and that is this county is forced, as I understand it, to go by last year's budget. Now, last year's budget may mean that with some mandated things that our sheriff is forced to pay, maybe we have contractual obligations. It's going to mean that there are going to be severe cuts in other areas. But if it's not legally mandated and you are not contractually obligated to do it, it's on the chopping block, people. Because if you do not do that and you are voting for this budget tonight or anything close to a large double-digit increase, I will say, even to my good friends here on this committee, you will be known as being complicit in that decision. And I don't think that's what any of you signed up for. Thank you for your service, but you've got a decision to make. And I'll say to the commissioners, do better. Because, and if you've been here for more than a year, it's time to go.
William Rand.
Here, Belfast. I have a couple of questions. The first one being, if you have such a hard time finding an auditor in state, is there an obligation to keep it in state? Could you look beyond the borders of Maine or come in would audit this county in a more timely manner?
We're not obligated, and I've considered it, because my patience is exasperated on this issue.
I'm glad that you considered it. I feel like it should have been considered long before this.
Right there.
But please consider it further. Secondly, I'd like to get a clarification on the county commissioners' budget, upcoming budget for the year, 31.10% increase. I'd like to get an idea of what that money is gonna be spent on. Ten twenty county commissioners.
But part of that is the liability insurance from the jail, if that's one thing there.
Liability insurance from the jail went into the commissioners.
Yeah,
I thought all this stuff was gonna be reorganized so that we understood it better. Why would that-
no, what I said was this wasn't organized well.
It's ridiculous.
It is, I think. So,
And maybe the commissioners can speak to that easier.
yeah.
Betty?
So on line 4722, liability insurance, that's where we pull back some liability insurances among the commissioners, and we were informed by our liability carrier for general liability. Let me start that. So in line 4722, liability insurance. Two things. One, we pulled that back into the commissioner's umbrella. That was in a couple of other budgets. Two, our insurance carrier on general liability, automobile and property insurance, gave us the quote as to the new insurance rates for the coming year.
Okay, and that's directly results in the whole 31%.
$80,000.
No, and then the other line, professional services went up, which is including our audit. And that's for what we budgeted for 2025 audit, so that's, we budgeted a number in there for 2025 audit.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but I'm not getting the numbers. I can't keep up with what you have in front of you.
Sure.
Can you tell me either the percentage that results in or the number amount?
So the number amount, we increased our 2025 audit number to $30,000.
That went up $30,000.
Yes.
And then what was the first line?
So professional, 4722 liability insurance. We plugged in the percentage increase that was given to us by the carrier, which is which is the risk pools by the county association. They have a risk pool for general liability and for automobile coverage and property coverage. That is the increase that they gave us.
And that's the amount of that increase.
The amount of that increase, I believe when they quoted that to us was at least 20%. If I remember correctly.
And that equates to,
20% of that previous year's premiums.
right, I'm looking for a dollar number.
Dollar number. In 2025, I think the line item is expended, all the way up until September 12th, which is not the final year figure. It was $67,870.35.
Look, I appreciate everything everybody does, the volunteers, commissioners, I know you try. You make a lot of money. You make more money probably than anybody sitting in this room at the job that you do. there's an obligation when you're very well compensated public employee to work as hard as you can. And, I'm not sure. I feel like we're getting value for our dollar. I don't want to insult you, but I don't think that we're getting the value for the dollar that we're paying you at this point. I don't know what the answer is. You know, I don't know how many hours you work a week. I don't know how it's broken down.
I think we should have a town hall.
I don't know. Is 4 members not enough? Should the compensation be less and there be more commissioners? Somebody with some energy, different ideas, you know, I'm not going to insult anybody, I'm just, what are the answers?
I mean,
I'm not at all reassured that we will be back here next year. Not at all. I don't think there's many people in here that are. I think we're gonna be in the exact same place we are next year as we are this year. I feel sad about that. I appreciate your time and your efforts. And I wasn't trying to insult anybody. And thank you for the time. Thank you.
James Costu.
Hi, James Kasuth, I'm the administrator for the town of Northport. And I know we've been talking a lot about the 36% increase this year, but I do want to point out that if we go through with the 36 this year, that brings us to an 80% increase cumulative over the past 3 years. So to answer that question, we will be here again next year and we'll be talking about 120% increase in 4 years. And that's just ridiculous, right? We're paying the same amount to the county as we are for the bread and butter of local government and the county doesn't plow our roads, it doesn't fill our potholes, it doesn't educate our children, and it doesn't answer the EMS and fire calls at 2 a.m. And we're paying the exact same amount. And what are we getting? This has to stop now, please. For the love of God, just say no. Thank you.
Now, I've gone through the list of everybody that signed up. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I'd like to say something. I may be the only mayor here, but I know several selectmen. My name's Eric Sanders, City of Belfast Mayor. I envy you not, I pity you, yes. This is a thankless job for the committee. The question for the commissioners that I have is, when the department heads presented you with budgets, did you say no to any one of them?
Parts of it, yes.
Okay, good. Because I wonder. The city of Belfast sends out the bills, obviously, and selectmen and people in the other towns know that. You send out the bills, so we're the ones who get the treatment from your decisions, not you. We do. We try to be transparent, honest, which leads to trust, and we use accountability. And I think that the commissioners, the 2 new ones, should remember that this is a great group of people here tonight that care. And by God, that's a good thing. That's a great thing, right? And this group of people wants to help you, not hurt you. But you have to let us help you. You have to listen to us and trust that we are looking out for your best interests, which we are. But the city of Belfast does a 3-month line by line, live on TV. Anybody can come in. We question pencils, toilet paper, everything. We'll argue for an hour about $100. It drives me nuts. But it's transparent. So if there's bad news, I think this group of people says, okay, well, if there's transparency and trust between us, we'll take the bad news. We'll try to help. But if we don't get transparency and accountability and trust right now going forward, half of us are going to have to leave the towns that we live in. And we're going to have to sell them to out-of-staters who want to move here and live here 4 to 5 months a year. And that's no fun. That's not why we're here. I mean, Randy Place, I've known him for 25 years since we were both on school board. That's not why we're here, right? So we're trying to help you, help us, right? So transparency, accountability, God bless you all on the committee, although I wouldn't make a decision with 2 out of 9, that's 22% of the committee not here. How can you do that? Thank you.
I'm Dave Marceau, I'm from Sarasmont. I don't think anybody spoke from Sarasmont tonight, but the only thing I wanted to comment was, we all talk about audits. Well, that's just a check and balance on the system. You should know pretty well, even if it is 2 or 3 years old, I realize we had COVID and a bunch of things happened here. But if you can believe the people that are presenting your budget to you, the directors of police or whoever we're talking about, rescue, whatever we're talking about for the county, then you ought to have a reasonable idea what you do have for a budget, audited or unaudited, and be able to go with that. That's just what makes sense to me. I don't know.
Thank you.
Howard Whitcomb from Brooks. I want to pick on law enforcement a little bit, because I was in it for 27 years as a supervisor. And I know how people padded budgets for the state. And this is the first thing I noticed, a $450,000 request for inmate surgical and medical, and the average is 60-something thousand a year. You talk about padding.
Sheriff?
No, that's what I'm saying, that's padding.
Oh, absolutely not padding.
What's that?
It's absolutely not padding anything. We are signing a contract with the county of Somerset to house our inmates.
I'm not talking housing, this says medical line,
Let the sheriff finish, please.
but I want him to address what I
He
want,
will address
not the whole prison outfit.
He will address it.
This is medical, dental, and surgical. Not about housing, not about transfers to other states, not about transfers to other jails.
Okay,
The medical and surgical.
we understand your question, Sheriff.
As I was saying. We are gonna contract with the county of Somerset County to hold our general inmate population. We are required by state law to provide that population with medication assisted treatment. The treatment that is provided at Somerset is the treatment that we talked about earlier, which is a Sublocade shot that costs $1,600 per shot for every 28 days that they're there. If half of our population, and we run an average daily population right now of around 40 people, which means about 20 people are gonna be on this shot. You take 20 people times $1,600 for every 28 days, and you're gonna come up with that number. It is not padded. It is an actual contractual number to pay for the medical treatment of the individuals that are incarcerated.
Can you just explain?
Do
what
you
the
have
shot
a
is?
DT area for these inmates?
To detox, there's an intake and there's part of that is that, yeah.
Okay. Medical doctor or medical nurse can watch a detox inmate. They don't have to give them a shot.
Yeah.
You can detox. I'm telling you, I've worked in it. They put inmates in cells and they let them detox on their own. Is it cruel? No. Is it painful? Yes. But if they're on drugs and they're on other things, I don't care if it's painful to them.
Yeah.
The cost, if a medical person is there and they're not dying, and they're not gonna die, they can detox. And it doesn't cost $1,500 a shot.
Yeah.
You're wrong. You're wrong. The law says we have to supply medication assisted treatment. If we do not supply that treatment, we are going to get sued and you are going to lose.
Yeah.
You are wrong to say that I can throw someone into a cell
Yeah, I see.
and let them detox and not supply them with medication assisted treatment. That is not the law.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
A quick question, like I've been listening, but it's.
Can you speak up?
I'll try. You'll try to understand my accent too. So from the start of that discussion, the gentleman over that cited some law or some rules. And it's looking like all along the evening, we're asking you to please don't vote on the budget like positively. But it's according to what I understand, if you're voting on the budget because you haven't looked at the rules that the gentleman was citing and also the lady in the back, that budget wouldn't be lawful anyway.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I believe you will.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jim Rossi. And maybe this question's been asked before and I didn't hear it, but to the commissioners, it looks like there's a 31% increase in your salaries. Yeah. 1 year.
It looks like the commissioners.
It's like on here, but I'm asking so that maybe you clarify.
It looks like the commissioner's salary increased by 31%.
Yes.
Can you?
From $270,957 to $355,200.
That's the clarification I asked for.
So I'm gonna go ahead and answer. it.
Yes. thank
So
you.
basically, part of that is the adding of one of the positions that we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Actually, none of us are taking any extra, we're not getting rated on that stuff.
Why is it presented this way?
Because it's
I wouldn't
part of
have
our,
asked the question.
because it's still part of that line item. Like, we still get paid out of that line item too. The increase is from the new position.
Okay. It would have been better if you had listed it that way. It would have been a little.
Oh, sorry, I can.
Would have been a little clearer had it been listed that way, because I would not have asked that question.
I understand that. And
The other thing I wanna say is, like, everybody in this room. I really hope that you will favor this budget tonight. And if you do, and I hope you do, I hope that you're all in a room when you start looking at these line items again. And you start thinking about the people who farm, and the people who fish, and the people who have 3 jobs to make ends meet. Because they're the ones that are gonna have to pay these bills. And you need to think about that, you really do.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Bethany from Moral. Just wanted to know if the Paid Family Medical Leave Act, is that an increase in here, what that's under and what that number is?
I think that's under employee benefits.
The employee benefits,
What
yeah.
would the increase due to that?
Well, it's not actually, well, it's kind of the first year that it's hitting actually. Because it's
So it goes from 0 to.
We pay
29,000, I think.
Yeah.
Hold on, it's easier to look at this here. But that's a law. 26,509 is the budget for the county, except for the corrections, which is an additional $8,319.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Just Randy, please again from Laurel. I just wanted, I know we talked a lot about the audit, and I don't know about any other selectmen here. There was one person in our town who could read the audit, and that's an 82-year-old bookkeeper, a professional bookkeeper who he has, who's currently training a nice young lady who's gonna be able to read it by next year. But our audit, we pay $14,000 for, it's about that thick, that I don't understand. I read the summary of findings in the very beginning, and I see what we have for any issue, so we don't normally ever have an issue. Quick story, several years ago, when there was a comment about something that we weren't doing. And I said, what is this? We're doing this. I went to our bookkeeper and I said, what does this mean? And she said, no, I haven't read it. I'll call and find out. The auditor said, well, if he doesn't like it, we'll take it out. Now, what is that? That's not what I asked for. I just asked for the fact that, what are we paid for? You know, and then, so what I want to really say is, I don't need an audit. I agree with Dave, you know, for it a little bit. You should reasonably know. No, you should precisely know. If I brought my trio a printout in tonight, I could tell you every dime I have in every account at the bank, about 2 accounts. I could bring in another trio report and show you every line item, minus what we just signed the other night, we taken out of trio, every line item in that budget. And I'm sure you guys, you ought to be able to do the same thing. When I look at my expense report every 2 weeks, I take out the right-hand column and I say, okay, we're end of the year, we got 6% left here, we got 25% left here, we are over, we're in the hole 100% here. And when we start that budget process the first of the year, we go after each and every one of them to find out, okay, this one's a good one. 6%, that's pretty good. 25%, why did we budget 25% more? Well, because we didn't have a road washout that we kind of, we have to kind of plan for.
Sure.
So I'm just saying the audits are great. It's a state mandate, but I don't need them, other than it's a state mandate to know where every dime of our money is going all the time.
You know, I agree with you, but in this instance, I think we have no real vision of what is on their balance sheet. And what is,
Back to you folks, I believe you.
what's their liabilities and so.
I believe you, but we do, and most towns, most selectmen here do as well, and we don't need the audit. We gotta have it because the state says so, but when they can, I just need a summary of findings, because I can't read the damn thing.
The other thing I'd like from an audit is I'd like the auditors understanding that if the commissioners and the finance people here are properly accounting for the healthcare. Because it's a, we call it,
blow up.
they're doing the healthcare here. They're not self-funded. So I'd like to know that. What else, what other things did we talk about that we'd like to know that we don't know? Things that the auditors would tell us in their report that would help us finalize the budget. And you might not think, every time I get that 80-page report in my town, I go, geez, I can do my town on the back of an envelope. I don't need an 80-page report that gives me every financial accounting standard board's this and government accounting standards board that, and takes my lease and makes it a capital lease and says, okay, now you got an asset and you got a liability. I don't need that to run my town. But we need to have some of that information here to help us move forward.
I would like to see that. I would like to see the audit, because tonight was the first time I've heard that there was $1.9 million in those checkbooks. I mean, I've asked that. I think that the board asked that before and we weren't given the figures before tonight. And the audit's important because coming from my town, you know what? My books, our record said we had a certain amount. Our spreadsheet said that. But in fact, when we got the audit disagreed. So I'm not confident until I see the audit, because there's too many unknowns. And I did get that figure before.
Too many unknowns. If it was a one year difference, I think we could make the estimate, going from 1 year to the next. But you're talking 22, 23, 24, and of course, 25 isn't over yet, but that's right on the line.
That's an estimate, so.
Okay, anybody else like to speak? Yes, sir.
David August, Belfast. I watched my property taxes last 2 years go up 53% in Belfast. Our city budget's gone up 32% in 3 years. I'm feeling it right there. But I just had a couple questions. Finance director, how long have they been with the county?
There have been a number of different finance directors in this county.
I'll respond.
Go ahead.
So I want to, first, before I answer your question, I want to go back to the gentleman about commissioner salaries. I make $13,750. That's the salary. And I declined to take an increase for this coming year. So I just want to get that on the table for the record. Two, to go back to the finance directors, since January of 2022 up until August of 23, we had 5 finance directors. Anywhere from 2 weeks to a few months. Wow. Well, I can't go into personnel issues, but one was, COVID period, I think burnout, qualifications. I think there's a number of reasons. So
Cake software.
and software, thank you. We have run more than data software, which I think is outdated. We're trying to go to a new accounting software called Edmunds. That's in the budget, but to give us better reporting. So since August of 23, we've had Carrie Hunt, the finance director, on board, and she's done a tremendous job trying to get this pulled together. I'm surprised that she's still here, to tell you the truth. I talk to her quite a bit, almost every day, when I'm down here 2.5 myself, asking for reports. So let's take a look at the numbers in a different perspective. Along with, we lost our HR director in March 17th of this year and didn't have one full time until just recently in October. So you look at our finance director and our county clerk, and we have that part-time administrative assistant gapping, filling in that gap position. We are stretched to the limit. And I've talked to other county administrators, to other board chairs on the county commission to see how their staff, to look at their staffing patterns, trying to figure this out. And that's the reason to put another staff accountant underneath her that knows accounting, to give her the relief of the pressure that she's trying to accomplish. You know, cost accounting. I walk in, I can do cost accounting. I've been doing budgets for decades, anywhere from 0 to 360 million. I understand that this is a large budget increase. I understand, you know, it's a 13 million to a 17 million and change budget increase, and I understand the questions. I think what we're trying to do is get this accomplished. I understand audits. I can read audits beyond the summary page. So it's frustrating with this auditor, and I think I've expressed my frustration with what we're dealing with right now. But that's the reason that we've gone through a number of finance directors, you know, through a short span of time. And the accountability and the checking accounts, it's actually 42 checking accounts, not 45 or 49. But to get those consolidated down to where it's workable and we get the work done and get the information produced in a timely manner. Thank you.
I'm gonna continue with that. So I think one thing too, and it's, you know, it wasn't taken lightly, and I'll throw this out there. We're the only county that doesn't have an administrator.
Speak louder.
What's that?
Can you speak louder?
We're the only county that doesn't have an administrator. And so that's where the workshops were coming in, is on the weeks that we weren't having the meetings, we would go in and make sure we were doing workshops, try to tie in stuff. So that we wouldn't have to ever present an administrator to you guys, and instead present, hey, what is something else that we actually need to make this actually happen? And so, like, I don't want to say that an administrator wouldn't do a good job for us, but I think that, I know for me, speaking with inexperience, and I think Kevin would echo, I felt that I needed to be more intimate with what's going on here and not have an extra layer of top layer, and instead wanting to have more of somebody actually helping people in the office get stuff done. But we don't have a county administrator, and I mean, you're looking at 120,000 just to get one. Instead, right, well, plus benefit. So instead, what we did is we kind of just absorbed more of the administrator role and started looking at policies and updating those kind of things, and rewriting policies and job descriptions and doing that stuff. And we took a look at, you know, Barb and Carrie and the other, basically the other positions that needed more help. And we took on that role without, you know, I mean, we're not looking for an increase at all. That was part of our responsibility, but you know, we're coming into it fresh, and I'm not gonna show us any grace about it, but we're also not even looking at the idea of bringing an administrator in at all. We're trying to get more intimate with this process too. So, and even though we weren't here for the past, I know Kevin and I have talked about it a lot. We feel responsible for what's happening now and how we move forward for that. So, I mean, I'm happy to see you all here, and I'm not. Just being honest, because like, I'm happy that people are as passionate as I felt I was a year ago about this. And you're welcome here. You're wanted here.
Thank you both for your transparency.
I think it's great to see the number of people here. This is representative. Last year, budget times, didn't really see anybody, for the, and every year we have a public meeting. And then we see people. So this is great. It's not great, the things that we're having to talk about, but it's great that people are interested and that we are, you know, hearing it. And hopefully you're hearing us.
Any other questions? Yes, sir. So just to make sure, the finance director is not here tonight? No.
No.
Treasurer here tonight?
Yes.
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 I didn't do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
sitting in the front row.
Okay, has he said anything?
Raise your hand, the treasurer. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, we've sat here this whole hour and a half, and we haven't heard from either of the two, most important financial people in the county, so. It seems like they'd be part of the meeting, that's what my recommendation would be. But, well, I was talking about, cost of living, inflation, how much things have gone up. Someone here mentioned social security, that went up, what, 2.8% cost of living increase? I think inflation right now is 3%. So, when taxpayers, this all comes on the back of property taxpayers. When you're looking at, 30% on the city side, 56% on, what you're responsible for, maybe. And you add that all together, and we already know in schools, we know we're not gonna be getting increases that are in line with inflation. Now, I do heating work. If I come to your house this year and I clean your boiler, $200, and I come next year and I go, it's $300. What are you gonna think of me? I'm not gonna get a very good reputation if I do that. So that just kind of speaks to confidence. That's why people are here. We have kind of, I think a lot of people here just have a lack of confidence right now in the county, and not the people in the finance board here, because again, you're your volunteer, and it just kind of landed in your lap. The way this works, it's like, commissioner's budget. And I just wanted to point out, just one other thing, and, one of our, Eric Bush here did some research, and it was kind of an eye opener to me. That the county, I know, only, two commissioners, you guys are new. You guys spend over $3 million on a new EMA building, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. You guys just built an EMA building in 2012. It's federal, I know it's federal pandemic money, but I guess that could have been used for anything. And I know, the decision makers, 2 of the 3 aren't here now that made that decision. We also spent $2.1 million on a new communication system out of that money, for this, I think, the sheriff's office. Where would that money have come from if it wasn't for the pandemic money? That's, $5 million right there. So it just makes me look, and it gives me just kind of a sigh and a lack of confidence. Like, if they had a bunch of money, did they get together, priorities? Steve here talked about, IT. You get together and find out your IT needs then. Then you bought a tractor, you bought, that new building, spent that $2 million on that, on a communication system. It just felt like kind of went through money like it was nothing. And now here we are, a few years later, saying, well, we don't have a lot of reserves, and we're looking at the huge increase. So, I haven't had a chance to look through the budget really, but I'm just, I'm gonna ask what other people have asked, that, you table this and you come back to the narrative and explain in writing, what's going on with the budget, so we know, exactly all the issues here. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Talk, but that's some action.
Pardon?
There's enough talk, but that's some action.
I just wanted to say, so I feel like the commissioners put the budget together, they hand it to you, you reworked it so that you could kind of understand it better. And the questions here tonight are to you, the volunteers, not the paid commissioners who gave you this. I would like to see questions go to them at another meeting and have you as the backup information. I think this should be put on them. And if they can't answer it, that's gonna say something, because I've seen questions go to people up there on the higher level that have not been able to answer questions, and they defer to you, the volunteers. Hold them accountable and make them answer questions.
Just want to make sure that anybody who wanted to say something had a chance to say it. All right? With that, we'll close the public hearing. So now the next thing is for us to discuss.
So I will comment box.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is for us.
All right, came here tonight to hear from the people, right? And I've heard from the people. I concur with the people. Everything that they've said, it's most of what I have said at some the time in the meeting. And if I don't see how we can do anything but vote no.
Okay.
And if we're not all prepared to vote no, and that means that we need to table this to discuss it, then we can do that. But I'm a first year member, so I want to say that now. I don't see how we can do anything. I don't see how any of us could vote yes.
Well,
That would be my comment.
any feelings?
Your people are a lot nicer than the people in Lonville. Well, I will state that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Waldo County is the only county in the state of Maine that doesn't have recurring debt.
It's true.
Yeah, because we don't know.
Yeah.
The interest for payments on our tax anticipation.
That's it.
There is no long-term debt. I'll
Right,
tell you that.
yeah, to answer Doug's question, we do own all of our buildings, but. When you can't take out a loan when there's a roof that needs to be repaired, there's an issue still. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Yeah.
Liz, you have any?
Again, you guys are a lot nicer than most people in Stockton, so thank you. I appreciate it. I think there's some stuff that we definitely need to discuss on the budget.
Barry?
I appreciate everyone who showed up tonight at a rather inconvenient time. Democracy happens when people are involved, and you have shown your true colors, and we all appreciate that. I had a sidebar conversation when I came in tonight and people were looking at my butt that I was not ready to vote tonight, and I was going to bring that up, and I hadn't heard one person at that point. I want to thank you most of all, other than showing up, for the respectful discourse. This could have been a shit show, and it wasn't. And that's because you all were respectful of each other. And so we all were able to mostly hear and learn what was important from every person in the room who chose to speak. And that's what a listening session, which this was, is really about. To be something that we can learn from. That's why we all spent Friday night here in the holiday season after eye surgery. So thank you all for showing up, and I am not ready to vote.
Tammy?
Same sentiments as most everybody here is that. Well, actually, when I came in here, I thought I was in the wrong place because there were so many people, I couldn't believe it. I've been doing this for a few years, and I've never seen this many ever turn out at any meeting. So, and the fact that this was such a hot issue tonight and that everybody is so upset and that you all remained respectful says something for Waldo County. And we all appreciate all of you very much and hope you all continue to be involved because we can't know how you feel if you don't show up and you don't let us know. But I think everybody here tonight has heard you. You probably noticed I was the one that I've been putting together spreadsheets to better understand the budgets that we've been given. And I did come in tonight with 2.3 million that I was really going to push hard to get reduced from this budget. But I also, in conversations with Bob, had agreed that I wasn't super comfortable with voting on this whole budget. But that's what I meant earlier when I said, to me, it was our final meeting, but the budget as it had been published was not our final budget. Like we weren't coming in here to rubber stamp what we'd already had. We still had some big issues with the budget. I just want to reiterate that the jail is kind of one of our biggest problems with the fact that we've effectively been kicked out from where we were keeping inmates. And we're kind of over a barrel with going that 450,000 that he was talking about. It is a huge difference from the 60-odd thousand that we paid this year. And that's because Somerset does their medical stuff completely different. You know, only 50,000 of that is our true inmate medical dental. The rest of it is that medication assisted treatment. That's why it was this enormous, huge thing. And plus the inmate room and board is also more. I mean, Sheriff Trundy actually found us, you saved us $500,000 by going to Somerset. We would have been stuck if we'd stayed, you know, with an even higher bill if we'd stayed at Two Rivers. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not
Okay.
ready to vote.
All right, so, what I would like to say is thank everybody for coming and expressing their opinions. We do hear what you say. And we understand, I mean, we're all, you know, responsible for our towns and responsible, you know, I looked at what this meant to my town. It meant 80 cents, the high budget, the initial one was 80 cents per thousand. And that's a big increase in a small town budget. That's a 13% increase. What this budget would have done was it would have moved the county budget to be the second largest expense in our town. Right now, the first largest expense is schools, which is another quagmire that you could get into. The second expense used to be roads and paving, and now with this budget, it would have been the county, then roads and paving. It's tough. And I appreciate everything you guys have said. Robin said that, we talked, I think my wife thinks I'm having an affair or something. I was on the phone with Robin for 2 hours today, going over numbers and saying, well, what do you think? Do you think we could smooth this out or cut this or cut that? And I think in the end, what we really need to do is to not table the budget, but not approve the budget at this time, to wait until we get the audits done, to continue to work on this and finalize it later. And I know that makes it tough for you guys.
We're working it,
But, you know, and we'll work with you. The commissioners have been open to us. All the department heads have been great. Carrie has been super helpful. Everybody, Barb types up our minutes and keeps us out of trouble. Everybody here has been helpful. So I make a motion that we not approve the budget tonight and that we reconvene in the future. We're looking for the audits to be finished. This will be an incentive to push the auditors to get them done sooner than later. Maybe more than just saying, okay, you know, the budget, the audits aren't done yet. Well, the audits have got to get done. We want 22, 23, and 24 done. We want to see what the audit comments are. We want to make sure that we're accounting for the medical expenses properly. And I think that's it. So that's a big motion. So, and we have the second by Doug. Any further discussion? All in favor? All.
Consider a different, better venue for the meeting.
We will, because we'll have to have another call.
How are you? Good. How you been, Joe? It's great to see you.